Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Mates podcast. I am Matthew here with my wonderful co-host and best friend,
Oh,
Callum. Great to see you again, buddy. Recording again, and today is a little bit of a informal episode, I think, and a little bit different. So we're
yeah,
doing a
we'll
bit of
just
a
be chewing the cud, chatting shit.
yeah, just chatting, shooting the
Yeah.
shit, my friend. Yeah, so we're just doing a bit of a news roundup today because over the lockdown period there has been quite a few news stories, movie related and so on. So yeah, we're just gonna shoot the shit and talk about what we want, I guess. So yeah, thank you for everyone who has supported the recent podcast and the Riverdale bonus episode. We really appreciate it. Shout out to Cash as well,
Thank
top
you
man.
to our friend Cash, but I do think he deleted his comment.
Yeah, because he meant it for our podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like he wanted to change it over to say that we fucking suck.
But yeah, buddy. Have you got like notes and stuff? I'm happy to go by your news notes.
Oh Matthew, I have literally nothing. Like
That's okay, no problem.
zero.
Can I start? Do you
It's
want me to
like
start off then? Yeah.
look, in an effort of transparency, should we tell the listeners about our little mishap the other day?
Our incident, yeah. So it was our first time recording over Zoom, and the audio messed up, and it was. I think it was a good podcast as well. That's the annoying thing.
Yeah, there were a lot of topics covered that I don't think we would have covered otherwise. And yeah,
Yeah.
I found it a really fun time. But obviously, there's a big learning curve with such a change in technology and circumstances. So today I assume we're gonna be going over some of the topics that we mentioned there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
Uh,
no, go ahead, mate. What was it?
oh no, nothing more from me.
But yes, thank you for everyone who supported us. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments section down below about what we're going to be talking about. So, Callum, I'm trying to think of the big main news story or in general, but I've just got a few notes in general, so I'll just go by that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have like the time codes of the since deleted
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can
Oh yes,
go
true.
over
Good point.
the
Good point.
headliners of that.
So I guess in terms of movie news, the thing that really excited us at the start of lockdown was Sam Raimi directing Doctor Strange 2.
Yes, big time.
Now we're massive fans of the Raimi trilogy, and I wanted to hear your thoughts about like because he's sort of like a horror director, I guess, inherently as well, and sort of what he could bring to the Doctor Strange franchise.
Yeah, so obviously a couple of my comments will just have carried straight over from our past podcast. So this won't be the first time you're hearing this, but the first time our listeners will hear it at least.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that like Sam Raimi to this film is what Taika Waititi was to Thor Ragnarok, and that he was sort of an indie weird comedy director, and then he came out and delivered one of the best action films of 2017. So I'm
Absolutely.
hoping that Sam Raimi's horror roots can come out and reestablish the Doctor Strange character as hopefully more horrific, but also balancing more comedy than was seen in the Scott Derrickson film.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually a fan. I do like the first Doctor Strange film. It's definitely one of the better films in the MCU, I think, or origin wise. And I had saw like we both watch BHL Hudson. Shout out to him. He had done a tier list video, and he had given it a lot of positive acclaim. So it is going to be interesting seeing like how much it'll evolve. Like, do you think it will be drastically different from the first film, like Thor 3 was to Thor: The Dark World?
Yeah, I suppose because this was, the first Doctor Strange film was establishing him learning magic, and then weirdly, I thought they maybe jumped the shark with having Dormammu in the first film.
Maybe,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
he didn't really feel like an introductory villain. Uh, I feel like they may have, given their biggest asset to the first film, and they sort of wrote it in a way that it was kind of it was kind of a rip off of Galactus, and then also, so if they try to use Galactus in a future film, I think that'll be a struggle. But they've also sort of sent Dormammu away, and I think they've kind of closed the door for a reappearance.
That's really
So
interesting, pal. Yeah, because Baron Mordo, I guess, is sort of the villain in this trilogy, if they're making a trilogy, of course. But it is interesting because I think Dormammu is one of those villains where, and especially like we've seen in the third act of Doctor Strange, like surely every action scene now just use the time stone, but they're probably going to have to find a way to work around that. And I think Sam Raimi is a perfect director to maximize that character and out of everything he's got, really, because he's a wonderful director and he certainly knows his way around the comic book genre. So the only thing that does concern me is like the time stone sort of plot wherein, you know, every action scene is therefore made redundant if he has it.
Well, the time stone's been destroyed because Thanos used the Infinity Stone to destroy the Infinity Stones.
Good point. Good point. So I guess in that sense, they can't really go back to that plot line now, could they? Unless like another time stone's found or something.
Yeah, because I think that I think that the scene in which, you know, the destruction of Hong Kong is being reversed is one of the most visually interesting and unique sequences in the MCU. And now that they can't do anything like that, I'm a bit disappointed. And you know, I'm disappointed that they like blew that all in just the first film.
Yeah, because it was quite unique for the MCU, wasn't it, to have an action scene like that? And I think, no, I am hopeful for Sam Raimi because I think he's a very talented director, both visually and action scene wise. So it will be interesting. My question for you is, like, do you think Baron Mordo will be the villain for this film?
I don't think he'll even be in it.
Really?
I think the villain. Yeah, I think the villain they're probably going to use is Nightmare, and I think they're probably going to give him like multiversal dimension hopping abilities. Because you know, in the comics, he more just like tortures people in their sleep, Freddy Krueger style, I believe. You know, I'm not 100% on that, but you know, I think they'll give him more reach over the multiverse, and that's what will draw Doctor Strange into the multiverse of madness.
That's really interesting because, like, I think the Doctor Strange films they do have a lot of potential, and especially with Sam Raimi, this is his first like big blockbuster since Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, I'd have to think so. I think really the only other films of his that I'm really aware of are the Evil Dead films.
Yeah.
So you know there aren't a huge amount. Did you watch per my suggestion the episode of Chef with him?
I did not.
It's the most awkward and uncomfortable thing I've ever seen. Like he's one of the shyest people I've ever seen. So he's like standing in like the corner of the room while they're chopping onions, and he's like, "Oh, you're chopping onions, are you? Oh, that's." And like he's brought these, like disgusting wilted tomatoes. What the fuck's happened to me?
Tomatoes, American?
I've been trapped watching American sitcoms for a month and a half. Like I'm not coping well.
Have you seen New Girl, by the way?
I haven't. I've seen almost every other sitcom, but it just does not interest me.
It got added to Netflix today, I think. So, and it has Zoe Deschanel. Deschanel, is that her name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no, like I might check it out. But anyway, Doctor Strange.
Oh, we don't have to stick to actually talking about like the topics. We can go on whatever tangents we want. You know?
Yeah. So go for it, mate.
Well, I was just gonna say I might give New Girl a chance after I finished The Last Man on Earth and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and The Goldbergs and Parks and Rec.
Yeah, that's a lot of sitcoms.
After I've made my way through all those, I'll give it a go.
But no, like
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Not a sitcom, but still have to finish it.
But no, I'm just really excited because I know you have a deep love for the Raimi trilogy, especially the first two Spider-Man films, and Spider-Man 3, obviously.
Yeah, I'd say 1 and 3 more than anything. Like Spider-Man 2 is one of the most I mean, it's amazing, but it's so overrated.
Check out our Spider-Man Part 1 episode, I think. Yeah.
It is, yeah, part 1 and 2.
But no, like I'm so excited for that because I just think he's so talented, and I think there'll be references to the Raimi trilogy. I'm hoping so. Fingers crossed.
And I said what I would love to see is just Tobey Maguire in his full Spider-Man outfit.
Yeah, like that would be fun. Another thing I thought was really interesting that you mentioned previously was Bruce Campbell and the Mysterio sort of link, and you had a theory on a potential appearance in this film.
Yes. Well, obviously throughout the Raimi trilogy, he makes a cameo appearance in each film, and that was set to culminate in Spider-Man 4, where he's sort of like a washed-up, chubby version of Mysterio, and he's just delivered to the police like he's meant to be sort of a joke villain, and that's why he had lines like in the second film when he stops Peter going into the theater, you know, no one can be seated once the doors are closed. It helps maintain the illusion,
Sure.
and people, obviously that cements the fact that he was meant to be Mysterio. But I said seeming this Spider-Man 4 was never actually made. You can just retcon it that he's been Doctor Strange all along.
That would be good. Would
And,
make sense.
and he, that universe's version of Doctor Strange. And then you can sort of just like fully lean into like the vibe of the Raimi trilogy and just give him like the dumbest comic book costume ever.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Like I think that movie has so much potential, and like, yeah, just have Tobey Maguire in it. Just full costume. Go for it. Go for it.
I think it has the most potential of any of the films that are on the current slate, which is why I'm so disappointed it's been pushed to 2022.
What MCU film are you looking forward to most out of the ones that are upcoming?
I suppose Spider-Man 3, because I do think that they will probably be establishing the Sinister Six in that film.
Yeah.
And like that's a team that I've always wanted to see on screen. If you want to hear my idea for a terrible Sinister Six film, listen to episode 19 of the podcast.
Absolutely. Love it.
Would you like to do more superhero film pitches soon?
I would love to. I would love to.
We have nothing better to do than just sit and plan those.
That was my favorite one to record out of all our
Yeah,
episodes.
I agree actually, because we had talked about on the past episode our favorite one to record, and I don't think either of us said that one, but
Yeah.
looking back on it, actually, I think so.
Yeah, but Spider-Man 3 is a really good shout. Like I think we both loved Far From Home and Homecoming. So
I've since changed my mind.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I think for me, I think Thor: Love and Thunder. I cannot wait for that because I love the third one, Ragnarok, and Chris Hemsworth recently came out and said like the script was like pretty insane, which is obviously expected, but I'm just so excited because I think they might pass the mantle on to either Valkyrie or Jane Foster in that case. So I'm so excited.
I mean, like I think Jane Foster is definitely going to get Mjolnir, so she's going to become the mighty Thor, but it's whether she becomes like the only Thor.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't think they would kill off Thor, so I don't know how you pass the mantle when he's already not the king of Asgard, and then if he's also not Thor, what is he?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a real possibility that they do kill him off in this film.
I don't see what else you do with him, really.
I know, because he's been through so many plot lines now, and I've only like grown to love the character more and more as times went on. So it is really going to be interesting to see like where Taika Waititi takes him in the fourth film. I think he's the only MCU character to get a fourth film, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the first at least. But it's such a huge distance between movies for him and Doctor Strange. Like Doctor Strange will have had like 5.5 years between his first and second film. Like that's crazy.
That's unheard of in recent cinematic history, isn't it? Really, for superhero film wise.
Yeah, I guess just the Marvel Cinematic Universe is an unprecedented film universe, so you can't always guarantee every character is going to get a new film every 2 years. But I'd still prefer it to be, more than every 6 years.
Yeah, no, definitely, buddy, definitely. Another thing I wanted to mention with you was another Marvel sequel, which was Venom 2, which recently got its title. Now, there has been a bit of backlash behind this. Let There Be Carnage. What are your thoughts, mate? What are your thoughts?
I don't think it's too bad. I think it could be better. It's a bit clunky, but it says what it needs to say.
Certainly.
What are your thoughts?
I think, as you say, it hits the nail right in the head, but I think it's definitely very clunky. I don't know, and I'm not sure. I'm not convinced by Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy. I don't know.
Have you seen his new wig?
I've seen the new wig, and
sort of a flat top rather than like a curly bop.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not convinced because I think the action scenes might be a repeat of of Venom 1. So I don't know. And plus, if they're going to integrate this character into the MCU, like we've seen in the trailer with Adrian Toomes cameo, correct?
In the Morbius film, yeah.
Sorry, Morbius film. And also, like, I've heard reports that perhaps Venom could link to Spider-Man 3 in some way, or a potential crossover with Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. So it is going to be interesting. Like, what are your thoughts of Venom being integrated into the MCU? Like, would you be a fan of that, or would you be a bit hesitant for it?
I just don't think it would work whatsoever because I think the character's too confused about whether it's a bad guy or not,
I think
and
so.
I just don't understand really because he claims to be a good guy, and as I said in the previous video, he just walks into a convenience store and bites a guy's head off and then like strolls out casually.
Yeah.
Like it just baffles me that how cool he is, like with having human heads in his digestive system.
I know, certainly, because I think it's certainly a different shift tonally from the MCU. Like, it's sort of like a dark satirical comedy almost, and there's a lot of more graphic scenes than we've seen in the MCU. So I don't know how well that would work. Speaking of like the Sony Spider-Man films, I saw the other day that they had given that universe a title. Have you heard about this?
They gave that title to it years ago, but like people only rediscovered that piece of news recently.
Really?
Yeah, it's
I
like
didn't know.
the universe of Marvel characters. So
Yeah,
it's like some.
yeah. But like, is Morbius in that universe then? I take it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so far that just pertains to the Venom films and Morbius,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with the intent to make like the Black Cat and Silver Sable films.
Yeah. Have you checked out the Morbius trailer? Like, if so, were you a fan?
Yeah, I saw it when it came out, and I'm not usually a fan of Jared Leto, but I didn't mind the look of it actually. It's a bit visually dark, as in I think it lacks a color palette.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
he's sort of meant to be like one of the like fun, dumb characters like from the Spider-Man comics.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit of a waste to not have him be part of the MCU. So I hope that he is anyway, because
I hope so.
he's sort of that like they reestablished the character of Blade to have got like his vampire powers from Morbius.
Okay. Like, that's interesting because I would like a crossover between those characters as well. I think they've got the look spot on. I think it looks very comic accurate, but I think you're right. There is certainly an absence of color in the trailer. I don't know if they'll fix that by the time the movie comes around, but we'll see. We'll
But
see.
like I wish he had like his high disco collar, like
Yeah.
the black and white suit.
That was a good look
Uh,
in the animated series.
like do you remember how dumb he was in the animated series because they couldn't have him like like as an actual vampire like sucking people's blood, so he had like weird suckers on his hand where he took people's plasma.
Yeah, didn't he have like a weird love triangle or something in that series, like with Flash Thompson, or am I making that up?
No, he was in love with Felicia Hardy
Yeah.
whilst Peter was trying to date her.
Yeah.
I was so confused. Like there were so many times where like Peter was in like a serious relationship with Mary Jane, but then he'd be like, "But I really want to have sex with Black Cat." Like he seems so
Yeah.
confused.
Mate, I was
I
watching
was
a clip from the animated series the other day, and it's probably the funniest one ever, because it's the bit where Peter proposes to Mary Jane as Spider-Man on top of a rooftop, and she throws herself off the top of a building,
yeah,
and
and it's
it
like
is
it's
hilarious.
just his
Like,
proof that you catch me.
yeah, like, it was just to prove your love for me, Peter. Like, yeah, right. Like, come on.
That show is some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
And then I was also listening today to I was watching another scene from the animated series, and it was the bit where like Mary Jane's clone like fades into water vapor or something, and then like Christopher Daniel Barnes just like, no. It's just brilliant.
But like it's weird, like the music of that show where it's like dun dun dun, like it's the most
Yeah.
dramatic music that like it sounds like something so horrible has happened, and then it's the like her just dissolving or
Yeah.
sorry evaporating. Sorry,
Yeah, have you noticed in that show? I'm sure you have. Like the music just shifts suddenly. Like especially when the
You
scenes
know,
Mary Jane throws herself off the top of the building, it goes like dun 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 dun, like crazy.
yeah. I just love that like swelling of dramatic music so much. Like it happens like every other episode, and I love it so much. Have you ever seen Spider-Man the new animated series?
Never, buddy, never. Is that any good?
Well, it's like CGI. Like it was one of the first ever series made with CGI animation, uh, and it has Neil Patrick Harris from How I Met Your Mother, voicing Peter, and I like the animation is horrific. Like it's a 0 out of 10 these days. Uh, but the storytelling's actually pretty good. Uh, like you should give it a watch. It's one of the most overly dramatic things I've ever seen. Like it's meant to be a kids show, but like spoilers for it. That there's one episode where there are mind controllers, and they convince Peter the Craven the Hunter murdered Mary Jane, and then because like the mind controllers are twins and they want to get revenge on Craven the Hunter, so they want to get Spider-Man to kill Craven. So Spider-Man starts like he hangs Craven like with a web noose, and then like he gets like 90% of the way through murdering him and finally stops, and then he goes after these twins, but then like they mind control him so that they think like his like other love interest is the female mind controller, so he starts choking her out on top of a building and then throws her off. So like the final scene, like the show was cancelled after one season,
I'm not
but like
surprised.
the last scene of the last episode is like this woman that he's thrown off a building like in intensive care, and then he like throws his Spider-Man costume into the river. So I guess season 2 was going to do the Spider-Man No More comic book arc, but they didn't get around to it.
This sounds like a hidden
Like
gem. Is this on Disney Plus?
it's actually really good when you watch it.
Is it connected to the animated series in any way?
No, not at all. Because like this is about like the start of his college years when he's like already in college in the first season. Sorry, in the original show.
See, in the
So like
original
it's
show,
not yeah.
like, would you like a sixth season where like he goes with Madam Web to find the real Mary Jane, or do you think it ended on a good point?
100%. Like it did not end on a good point, and like that wasn't intentional, right? Like it was cancelled.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, like that wasn't meant to be the end of the show. Like Avi Arad, like the producer,
Yeah.
who like constantly ruins Spider-Man stuff. Like he apparently had like huge blowout with the head of Fox Kids, and that led to its cancellation.
Wow. Like we could just do a whole episode on that one day. Like that would be so funny. Like it is such a classic, timeless classic.
Some of the worst quotes in TV have come from it.
It's counteracting my spider stickiness. Fantastic.
It's just man. And then I texted you when I was rewatching it that like you find out that J. Jonah Jameson like out of nowhere that his wife was killed in a drive-by shooting, and that's why he hates Spider-Man.
Yeah, because the guy was wearing a mask or something.
Yeah, like like classic, of course. Spider-Man always like doing his drive-by shootings.
Yeah, I know. Like it's just it's such a golden show, but some of the writing is good, but some of the writing isn't great.
It has some of the best story arcs, but like as in the stories are planned out well, like
Yeah.
with the Six Forgotten Warriors and Captain America. But then the writing of the episode is bad.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I think the Daredevil crossover is pretty good.
I mean, like it's a show made for kids. Like it's a bit, it's cynical for us to sit and be like, oh, it's dumb. It's like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
really
One of my favorite ones, just because it's so funny, is when like there's a flashback to Kingpin's origin with his crime boss dad, and like I think his dad just ditches him because he can't climb up the ladder.
Yeah, like his dad is like this spry criminal, and then he like goes up this ladder, and then you just see Kingpin just like hanging on, and then he's like, don't leave me.
Yeah, doesn't he? I think he kills his dad, doesn't he?
Yeah, he like whenever he becomes Kingpin, like in his early crime boss days, he like gets his dad called into his office and just has him executed.
Love it, mate. Love it. Speaking of animated shows, have you been watching any more Disney Plus recently?
Well, as I said, I was making my way through Phase 3 of the MCU.
Sure.
With basically just Spider-Man: Homecoming and Black Panther left to watch, and I've been having a ball of a time. I'll tell you,
Good man.
Some absolute bangers in there. I haven't actually been watching much animated stuff on the Disney streaming service, which is surprising because obviously that's the majority of their productions. But I was waiting to sort of tap into some of the classics until we did an episode on them.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Definitely. Like would you say it's a worthwhile subscription?
Oh, 100%. Like it's one of the best out there. There's hundreds of movies on there that, I'd watch anytime. But I've never seen any of the classic Disney films. I've never seen Aladdin or The Little Mermaid or Lion King or anything.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Like,
I'm the same.
Yeah. Shocking.
Yeah. The only one I've seen is The Lion King out of those ones you mentioned. I haven't seen Little Mermaid or anything like that.
Hopefully we'll get around to it.
Hopefully so, buddy. Another TV show I wanted to chat to you about was Afterlife Season 2. Now,
yeah.
You're a fan of Season 1, yeah?
Well, obviously that's when I first got into it. I watched it as soon as it came out. I was never a huge Ricky Gervais fan, and I thought I'd give it a chance. And just the writing's exceptional.
It really is. It really is. Like, I think, and I mentioned this to you in our previous unreleased episode, but like he has a very good acting ability, I think, to do serious scenes, and he does comedy really well, especially like the dark comedy. But like, there's some really emotional scenes in there, especially in Season 1. Like, I don't know if you remember, like when he's sitting in the care home with his dad, and his dad says, like, because his dad has dementia, I think, and he was like, "You're my boy" and stuff, and like sort of he remembers that Ricky Gervais or Tony is his son, which I thought was really sweet. And I think Season 2 it does improve on it because we see like different characters like get more backstory. We see, I believe it's Sandy, isn't it? She lives at home with her parents and stuff, and she has like personal issues going on there. And yeah, there's just and especially Matt as well. His plot does make up a large part of the series. So I really loved it. What are your thoughts, buddy?
I mean, I think you're probably in a better position to judge like the quality of the two seasons, because I assume, did you binge watch all 12 episodes very recently?
Very recently, yeah, but maybe between like 2 weeks of each other, so reasonably recent, yeah.
Yeah, so like I haven't seen Season 1 in about a year or so, but from memory, yeah, I'd say they're both on a similar level. And as you said about him being able to easily do dramatic and comedic scenes, I guess that sort of ties in with the famous saying that comedians can do drama, but dramatic actors can't do comedy. So
yeah, you've hit the nail right in the head there, yeah.
Well, once you get the timing of comedy, you can also act dramatically, and I think he absolutely nails it in this show.
Absolutely, bud. Do you think there's room for a Season 3? Like, would you like to see it?
Oh, I would love to see it. Yeah. Like he sort of said that the point of the show is that nothing is perfect, and there's no happy wrap up. There's no nice little bow tied up at the end.
Yeah.
But I would I'm a sucker for a happy ending, and I always love to see just a satisfying conclusion where everything is tied up. So if he could just break his rules and do that, just for me,
just for you,
I'd love it. Like, how would you like to see it end? Really,
I see. The only problem I have with the show, and spoilers for Afterlife Season 2, was the final episode. I thought it went really quickly from him gonna kill himself until the nurse arriving at his door. I thought that was quite a really abrupt ending. So I would like to see a Season 3 just to see where they could take it, because I thought it was going to end with him killing himself, and I think that wouldn't be a happy ending, but at least you would probably know like Tony's at peace, if you know what I mean. But the thing is, like, I think a third season would probably be the maximum one you could do, because there's only so much you can go, only so far you can go with the Tony character. But that being said, like I think this show could very well work with like a spin-off show because there's so many like really interesting characters in there.
Yeah, I'd love to see a season 3, but yeah, I just want to see Tony get better. Obviously he can't fix what's happened. He'll always be emotionally affected by it. But I want to see his life improve.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%.
Because Ricky Gervais did such a good job of establishing a character that you care about, and I care about him and want him to get better.
Definitely, mate. And if anyone's listening who's a Ricky Gervais fan, I would recommend the True Geordie podcast episode with him. I think it's episode 109, and he does a really good interview, and they talk about afterlife as well. So check it out, guys, if you're interested. Another thing I guess we could talk about TV show related is Netflix shows, and I don't know which one you wanted to start off with. We could either do Tiger King or Too Hot to Handle / Love Is Blind. Which one did you want to kick off with?
Do you want to start with Tiger King?
Tiger King, absolutely. So I guess in recent memory, this is probably the biggest Netflix documentary that it's ever been. Maybe apart from like Blackfish or something like that, or like Don't Fuck with Cats, but it really has taken the world by storm. And I think that's all down to like the iconic characters in it. I say characters, like they are real people, but they are like icons in their own worlds, I suppose. Especially Carol Baskin, which there has been a lot of theories out there as to maybe spoilers for Tiger King, as to whether she killed her husband or not. And
yes,
I just want to hear your thoughts on the show and then Carol Baskin's innocence.
Well, neither of us have finished the show. Did you say you were 2 episodes in?
2 episodes in, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm 4 episodes in, and probably the highlight of the show so far was episode 3, which is the investigation of Carol Baskin and the investigation of the disappearance of her millionaire husband.
Yeah.
I am very dubious of her. As I mentioned in our unreleased episode, there's been a lot of debate as to whether her treatment of the big cats is really any better than that of Joe Exotic and Doc Antle. And I do think objectively she's treating them better because she's at least, like, she's not physically abusing the cats.
Yeah.
But I still don't think that she's providing them with an adequate home. And she's also using... Sorry, I just hear my brother yelling, and I thought he was maybe yelling at me.
No worries.
But she claims that her home for big cats is a sanctuary.
Yeah.
And it still seems like they're kept in tight confinement. So I think that while she clearly respects the animals more than Joe Exotic and Doc Antle, she's still using the cats for monetary gain. Like I can't remember what time frame it was in, but Joe Exotic had said that she had used her big cats to amass $1.2 million from the public.
Wow.
And obviously that, and that must, she claims that all goes to the upkeep of the animals, but she already inherited millions of dollars from her husband when he disappeared. So I don't really know why she needs the public's money, and she doesn't, pay her quote unquote volunteers, and they seem so happy to be there. She criticizes, like, Doc Antle has pretty much established a cult in which he has, sister wives. Like, he has, I think, 3 or 4 wives, and, a past member of his group who I don't think was ever one of his wives, but was definitely close to being one, and, got out before that happened. She is described as cult-like, but I think Carol Baskin has established, her own little cult where
Absolutely.
people are so convinced, that it's fine that they're not being paid. She was making a specific point to complain about the fact that Doc Antle only pays his employees $100 a week when she's paying her $0.
Yeah. There is like a gross hypocrisy there.
Yeah, there is a big hypocrisy. And I think the theories on her murdering her husband are strong. I think there are some that I do believe. Obviously in a murder investigation, there's no one's not a suspect. So we have to say that she is at least a suspect. You know, there is definitely justification to be suspicious of her, whether or not you firmly believe that she murdered her husband. But there was one specific theory that I like, which was in episode 3. You find out a bit about her earlier life, and very young she married this guy who was abusive towards her, and you see photos of him. And then later you meet one of Joe Exotic's business partners, and I think his name was Jeff Lowe, but I'm not 100%. And people have compared photos of her first husband to Jeff Lowe.
Are they similar?
Yeah, they are similar. And people think that Jeff Lowe was her first husband, and she enlisted his help to kill Joe, to like ruin Joe Exotic's career and get him, get him in trouble, and also kill her husband.
Wow, that's really interesting. Like, there's so, like, I'm only 2 episodes in, and there's so many different twists and turns, it seems. And
Yeah,
like, there's no real character that I've heard of that is like truly 100% innocent. Like, they've all got their demons and stuff. And I mean, we've seen by Joe Exotic. I mean, the guy's locked up, but like Doc Antle and his many wives, like, there's been so many like theories as to how truthful he's being there. And obviously with Carol Baskin, you know, the whole husband theory, and of course, like, not even paying her volunteers. Like, I don't know how truthful that is, because like, there is definitely a gross hypocrisy in her actions as well, and I think she tries to justify it by taking the moral high ground, but I don't know if that really works for her. So I really am interested to see where it goes, so I'm going to finish it. And yeah, another plug for True Geordie. Check out his latest podcast with Doc Antle. It's really good, really good. But yeah, like, another thing I want to talk about was the Netflix shows Too Hot to Handle and Love is Blind.
yes.
So basically, is Too Hot to Handle is UK and Love is Blind is US, correct?
I thought they were both UK, but you may well be right. I actually no, yeah, I think they are both American.
So
Sorry, what? No, they're not both American. Sorry. No, yeah, I think you are right with which ones. Yeah,
like, I don't know if you saw Jackmate's videos. Yeah,
I did see both of them. Yeah,
yeah. And I thought he made some really valid points in there, as well as like interspacing it with his humor. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on like Too Hot to Handle, because it does seem like Netflix's version of Love Island, but almost worse, because, you know, they sort of market it as, we selected the horniest people from around the UK to see if they can not have sex. Like, it just seems really like where's TV going nowadays? Because Netflix was sort of famous for its really good stuff, like Making a Murderer and stuff. And don't get me wrong, like Tiger King is, as we've said, is phenomenal, but it just seems it's taken a real dip in content lately. So I just want to hear your thoughts on the 2 shows.
yeah. I mean, I suppose when you compare the quality of like the best of Netflix, and then with Too Hot to Handle, it's kind of embarrassing. But you know, I have to admit that from time to time I do appreciate a bit of trashy television.
Sure. No, I get that.
So I have not watched the show, but I'm sure I would definitely take some enjoyment from it. I kind of don't understand how little willpower they have, that like they can't last 2 months for like, isn't it $100,000?
I think so. Yeah, 100K.
Or it's £100,000, I guess. Sorry, I'm in dollars now as well. American TV has.
It's okay. It's okay.
But yeah, I mean, like, how little self-control do they have?
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm just interested to see how they scouted out these people, and like how they determined the horniest of
Yeah, I
all
was
the
gonna say
population.
they assessed it.
Yeah, look, but I'm sure it'll do very well ratings wise. And but one show I did watch, or I've started watching, is Love Is Blind.
Oh,
Now
you
for this
did?
one, yeah, I've watched the first couple episodes, and I think the idea of it is good. Like, a lot of people, I guess, the premise of the show is, they believe that a lot of people judge how they interact with the opposite, or the same sex or opposite sex, based on appearance wise. And I guess to a certain extent that is true, and it is important. But this show sort of takes the takes the idea of you find your husband or your wife in I don't know 30 days, let's say, or I don't know how many days it is, but without seeing them. So it's just
I think, isn't it like just until the other one decides to propose?
it might even be. So I think maybe the first one was like in the first 5 days they decided to get married, and some of them stick together. I know the spoilers for Love Is Blind, everyone, but I know the first couple, Cameron and I can't remember the girl's name, but it was Cameron, and they are still married to this day, over a year later. But some couples split up, so it is interesting. But again, I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Like, do you think it's a good idea but poorly executed?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but that's the whole point, that like people are sort of presenting this as like a crazy new idea when it's literally just they've copied Married at First Sight,
Yeah, yeah.
which is another TV show which I assume is better. I actually, not based on your comments, I think I will give this show a go, because like from the little I've seen of it, I actually did really enjoy it.
Like, there's some funny bits. Like, there's some guys in there and some girls who immediately as they get in, like, they try and ask what they look like and stuff, which isn't really the point of the show as well. And there's just like there are some dicey comments some guys make towards the girls. And yeah, but it is a wild ride, and with shows like Too Hot to Handle, Love Is Blind, and of course Love Island, like they are going to garner a lot of criticism. But like you said, I think it's all important for us to sort of adopt trash TV. Like you and I have, adopted a love for Love Island because it takes the edge off our day and it's enjoyment, and you can just switch your mind off. So,
Yeah.
like, I think they are important, but maybe not the best quality rise. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But another sort of topic, this is one of the new topics that we haven't talked about yet. So I wanted to bring up, what one of them is, but the other isn't. Was the two actors who have been in movies that we like and TV shows that we like. So the tragic passing of Logan Williams, the Flash star who played the young Barry Allen, and I guess we just wanted to like pay our respects to like a great child actor.
Yes. I mean, he always excelled in the scenes where, he was always opposite, two very impressive adult actors, and he was able to hold his own. So obviously that's a huge challenge that no other child actor these days really can do.
Yeah.
I also find with child actors, obviously you have to consider the fact that they haven't been in the business long, but he clearly was born to do it. So it is tragic that he was taken so soon.
It really is, and condolences to the family, like and friends who knew Logan, because he was so like strikingly similar to Grant Gustin as well. I think perfectly cast, and he did a really great job. I think. Are you still there? Hello.
Saying that like visually, I don't really see a resemblance between Logan Williams and Grant Gustin. But I don't really see a resemblance between Logan Williams and Grant Gustin, but I think they have the same exuberance.
I think so, definitely, mate. And another bit of sad news to come out in Hollywood recently was the passing of Bollywood star Irrfan Khan.
Yes, I did hear about that. The only film I've seen him in is The Amazing Spider-Man, though.
Yeah, I think he was in Amazing Spider-Man, and I think he was in Jurassic World, but it's been a while since I've seen that, so I don't know. But I think he was only 53 as well, which is really, really young. And I thought he was for the time that he was in that film. I thought he was good.
Yeah, clearly a talented actor, and from what I've heard from the outpouring of fans, a very talented man, and who will be missed.
Definitely, 100%, mate. Condolences to friends and family who knew him. Another thing, I guess, another topic we could discuss was The Apprentice 2020.
Tragic.
Sadly cancelled. I know you and I are you're probably a bigger fan than me of The Apprentice. You've watched it for a number of years now, and from what I heard, they were gonna put it 2 seasons next year, which I think would be interesting.
Did you hear
But
that? Did you hear that from me? Because it was me that said that.
was it?
Well, I said that's what they should do. I have not heard any official news on them doing that.
See, I had saw something on Cool FM's Facebook that they said Lord Sugar was. I think it was Cool FM that like Lord Sugar's considering 2 series next season, or sorry, 2 seasons next year for it. But I don't know. I think.
See,
I think. Go ahead.
I think that would be an easy thing to do. You know, if they're only doing 16 total tasks, like just, you know, do them in half the amount of time and then put one in the beginning of next year and then one at the end.
Yeah, yeah, because I think it's one of BBC's most successful shows rating wise, I would imagine, and it's always fun, always entertaining, especially the boardroom fights because everyone loves a good boardroom fight. So it's going to be missed this year. It's going to be missed. Another thing that will be missed this year, and for years to come, is the movie house in Belfast.
Oh, devastating.
I have so many great memories going there with you and your brother and your dad, and like it's such a great place, if you know what I mean. Like
Have we ever been there with my brother and my dad?
I think we went to see Joker there. Maybe your brother wasn't there, but we
did. We did see Joker there. You're right. That was unfortunately, yes. My brother had gotten to see Joker a week early, so he was not present.
But it's just I assume, is that your local? Is that the cinema you would frequent the most?
No, it's probably the cinema I would frequent the least. Because anytime I'm there, I feel threatened.
Why?
I don't know what it is about it. Just at night, it's an intimidating area for me.
Oh, bless. But regardless, it's going to be missed, I think, in the Belfast area. It is going to be missed.
Yeah,
definitely.
I saw a lot of Facebook posts that were commemorating it, and yeah, clearly it's a staple of Belfast culture.
It cuts deep, mate. It does. It cuts deep. One thing, another thing I wanted to mention to you was in relation to the MCU. And Charlie Cox has recently come out, who obviously plays Daredevil. He's recently come out in an interview and said it looks unlikely that they will continue with his casting of the Man Without Fear. Now, I think this is interesting because he doesn't necessarily say that Daredevil is like out of the running in the MCU. It's just that it won't be with him. So I just want to hear your thoughts on, one, would you like to see Daredevil continue in the MCU? But two, would you mind if it was recast?
Well, like what he said exactly was that he hadn't heard anything about the character being in Spider-Man 3. So if the character is in Spider-Man 3, it won't be with him.
Yeah.
So I just, either he's lying or I don't think Daredevil is in Spider-Man 3. Because I don't think they would make the dangerous choice to recast Daredevil because they know that the fans would revolt. Because he is as perfect casting as like Robert Downey Jr. And they I'm sure they know that people would just hate anybody different. So I would rather Daredevil be done than they recast.
He definitely is perfectly cast, and that show on Netflix is incredible. I would love to see him in Spider-Man 3 though, with Charlie Cox. Like that would just be so perfect, so perfect.
Like would you care if he was recast, or like would you revolt?
It's hard to say because if he was recast, for me, it doesn't feel like the Marvel Netflix are in the MCU anyway. So if they just said, "Oh, that's in an alternate universe or something," like whatever, because like I think it would work if they just said, "Oh, this is Daredevil" or whatever. Because, like I said, I don't feel like the Netflix shows are that ingrained into the franchise as a whole, so it wouldn't cut that deep for me. But I guess for continuity's sake, I would prefer to see it as Charlie Cox. But if they did have Daredevil and Spider-Man 3, I'd take it Charlie Cox or no Charlie Cox. What about you?
I can't believe you. I can't believe you.
Honestly, I'm sorry. I feel bad saying it. I do feel bad saying it, but
I thought you were more loyal than this, Matthew.
No. I'm a heartless bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think Spider-Man 3 has so much potential. Uh, Especially like if they had Daredevil or like She-Hulk or so. I think She-Hulk would work just as well, especially if they're going to do a show. Speaking of
Yeah.
that, who would you like to see cast as She-Hulk? I heard a lot of rumors going around that it was maybe Alison Brie, but what
Well,
would
yeah, it was because Marvel had put out like a casting call for the character, and they said in their description that it should be a quote Alison Brie type, and then Alison Brie, like
subtle?
on all her social media, on all her social media, she was like, "What the fuck?" She was like, if you want an Alison Brie type, maybe ask Alison Brie. But like
Yeah,
they hadn't contacted her, so like
that's
they
weird.
wanted someone like Alison Brie, but not her.
Do you think Alison Brie would work?
Um, I've never considered She-Hulk like a particularly comedic character, but I'm sure she has been in some runs of the character because she's sort of like like a goofy comedic actor. Uh, so like if you wanted to go for like the less of like a brawler type and more comedic, I think she'd work definitely.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I would like to see maybe either Alison Brie or like I think Gina Carano could work.
I 100% thought you were going to say Gina Carano.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah, I was about to say like because like if you're comparing like whether you want her to be a good actress or have like that sort of muscular physicality, you know, because like the Hulk is super strong despite his physical muscles, like so you don't actually have to have the physical muscles. You can just say the gamma rays gave them super strength. Like
Yeah,
you don't need to physically have the visual muscles.
yeah.
So yeah, I think you could cast either, but Gina Carano probably isn't as strong an
Acting.
actress.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you think they'd have to CGI She-Hulk or just do it with makeup?
I mean Gamora was done very effectively with just green makeup, so
Yeah,
I
sure.
think it's definitely doable.
I think so, yeah. Definitely. Like CGI is risky for a TV show, especially.
Oh yeah, but I mean, sort of they're pumping like almost like a movie level budget into these shows, I assume.
Yeah. Like speaking of like Marvel TV, like what production are you looking forward to most? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on especially Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision.
Yeah, I'd say I'm most looking forward to WandaVision, which was scheduled to come out in December of 2020, and like they did wrap filming, but I think that like probably continuity wise, because it's meant to tie into Doctor Strange 2, it'll probably be delayed.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts? What are you most looking forward to?
I'm most looking forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier because like Sebastian Stan had come out and said it has like the script has like Winter Soldier vibes, and we do love that movie. So I am interested to see, like, do you think Chris Evans would make a cameo as old man Steve Rogers, or do you think they'll just say like, oh, that character passed away off screen?
Well, I mean, they sort of implied that in Spider-Man Far From
Yeah, they
Home
did,
because
didn't they?
they had him in the in memoriam section. But I think that Chris Evans said that he would only ever play it again if the story was like incredible. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to make an appearance.
No, you know what? I'm happy. I'm sort of happy that he isn't because I think Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan like deserve their own moment in the spotlight because they're both fantastic and they've both been very committed to the MCU. Like they've been in the MCU for upwards of 6 years now, or well, Sebastian Stan's been nearly a decade. So, but no, like I think it has a lot of potential, especially if they're bringing back Zemo with the purple mask, sock face. I'm looking forward to that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'm really not looking forward to Loki though. Like I could not give two fucks.
And I know, like, I think they're just milking that character now, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I was so happy when he died in Infinity War because I've been desperate for that character to have a permanent death, and then Endgame, like in its ultimate wisdom, decided to give us another version of Loki.
I know.
But it's
I,
also like the worst version of Loki, where he's not even funny. Like it's the Avengers version of Loki, which is like the dullest version.
yeah, like they've just. I know I do like Tom Hiddleston, but I think they've milked it away too much now, to be honest. Like just leave it, just leave it. But hey, might be good. Might be good.
He's like allegedly died on screen 3 times,
I know.
and they still won't put that character to rest. Like with all the characters that they've like permanently killed, like some of my favorite characters that they've permanently killed, they can't let this one just die for good.
You know. Speaking of dead characters coming back, would you like to see Quicksilver in WandaVision?
Oh, desperately. He was by far like the best part of Avengers Age of Ultron for me.
Yeah.
And like Aaron Taylor Johnson was just so incredible in that role. And it was just the fact that he was like, overshadowed by Evan Peters in X-Men Days of Future Past, that sort of like the public turned on him.
Yeah.
Even in like set photos and stuff, and then Marvel decided to kill him
Brutally.
because they had actually shot 2 endings where Quicksilver survived,
Really?
and they probably, yeah. So I assume they went with the one where he died after the critical acclaim that was given to Evan Peters.
Yeah. Like I think you had mentioned it on a couple episodes. Like, do you prefer Aaron Taylor Johnson's version to Evan Peters, just for the comic book accuracy there as well?
Well, yeah, because I mean, in X-Men Days of Future Past, like the genius of that character is how his speed scenes were filmed. It's not Evan Peters' performance.
Yeah, that is true. That is
Like,
true.
he was never given enough time to be an excellent character. But I think that Aaron Taylor Johnson like really commanded the screen when he was on it.
Absolutely. Like I'd recently rewatched Dark Phoenix, and it's still good, but Quicksilver's barely in it. Bro, he's barely in it.
Yeah, no, doesn't he like break his leg and then he's just never seen again?
Yeah, like at the start, like first 30 minutes, and then that's it. Maybe not even 30, like 20 minutes. Jeez, rewatching that it's painful to be a fan of Professor X when you watch that film.
Oh, he's the biggest piece of shit in that franchise. But like that, but I don't know how he became that because like, the Patrick Stewart version was never an asshole.
Yeah, that's just, I don't know. Something happened. Like it was always very likable in the previous prequels, but just that film, he just became really narcissistic or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think it was just like because in this new timeline, mutants were knowledge to like public knowledge. Like the fame got to his head.
Must have, yeah, must have done, must have done. One really interesting story, and this is went a bit under the radar recently, so I think you'll be interested in this. You'll never guess who started their own podcast, Callum.
Let me think. I have heard about a celebrity starting their own podcast, but throw it at me.
See ya.
See you like the exam board.
Yep.
What the fuck?
It's like they had put up a Facebook post the other day, and I think it's called like the AS level podcast or something. Well, I'll just try and find it here. Yeah, go over and subscribe to the SIA podcast. Yeah,
Let's not.
it's called the AS level podcast. So go check that out,
That's
guys.
embarrassing.
Yeah, go check that out.
Have you given it a listen?
I have not. I have not. You know what the funny thing? Funny thing is, they put like a photo of like a video, but when you go to play it, you realize it's just a photo, so you can't actually play it. So, yeah. But hey, fair play to them. Fair play to them.
No, not fair play to them. Like like we may get absolutely screwed over for our
That is
grades.
true. That is true, actually. But yeah.
I mean, if they deliver me like 3 A's, I'll be like listening to that podcast all
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Like, giving them a 5-star review.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Is there any other news stories you wanted to cover, buddy?
Well, now that you've reviewed the footage of Ezra Miller, would you care to comment?
Right. So in our unreleased episode, viewers, we covered a bit of celeb controversy, ranging from Ezra Miller to Vanessa Hudgens to Ellen to Mark Wahlberg. So we'll start off with Ezra, right? So we'll start off with Ezra. You said there was a lot of people who said it was play fighting, yeah?
Should I give a little context to the listeners?
Go for it. Go for it.
So, 3 weeks or so, there was a camera footage video that emerged of Ezra Miller breaking the self-isolation and social distancing rules, emerging drunk from a pub in Iceland. And then one viewer who was on film was captured asking him to sort of like, well, she said like, you know, I bet I'd beat you in a fight. And then he said, you can hear in the video him saying like, oh, you want to fight? And then he he puts his hand around her throat and shoves her into a dumpster, and then places her on the ground. And as I mentioned in that video, you know, a lot of news outlets had reported that he like choke slammed her to the ground, you know, and was very violent in, you know, shoving her to the ground. Where I thought it looked more like he was gently placing her on the ground. But you know, apparently, as reported by the witnesses, it was a very serious incident.
I think you've absolutely, covered it spot on there, bro. I agree with everything you've said. I think it starts off as quite a violent encounter, but I think you're right. I think it's more of a gentle placement to the ground.
Yeah.
Of her, but obviously, you know, not condoning this at all. It was a poor display from Ezra Miller. But yeah, do you know if did he get arrested?
He did not get arrested. Like the video didn't even emerge until like days after the incident took place.
It kind of reminds me of the Conor McGregor incident about a year ago. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah. Yes, where he walked into a pub, had a chat with a man, and then punched, like, was he 93 years old or something?
Yeah, but the funny thing is, the 93-year-old guy was just like, and what? Like, he was unfazed.
Yeah, no, he just, like, goes straight back to his pint or whatever.
Yeah, like, apparently that was because McGregor had offered him some of his proper 12 whiskey, and the guy was like, no, it tastes like shit. And then McGregor just left hook to the face. But no, fair play to that guy. Like, he handled that. He handled it well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I got, like, you know, a hook from Conor McGregor, I'd just die.
Me too. Like, there's some UFC fighters who drop, like, get KO'd by that. That 93-year-old man he handled it well. Fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
So, I was wondering, do you think that this incident is serious enough that he should be fired by Warner Brothers?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I think he should be put on some sort of probation wherein they like monitor his activities throughout the lockdown, and if he like breaks it once, then fire him. I think.
Okay, that's interesting.
What about you?
I mean that like they've put up with worse Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that is true.
Know,
that is true.
Like, you know, they've condoned you know, other violent or otherwise abusive acts. So yeah. I suppose they should either you know fire the other people who are guilty of those and Ezra, or you know, fire none of them. So yeah. I suppose it's up to their discretion.
I don't know if they've come out with a statement in response to that encounter, but yeah, it is a difficult one to call because there are so many things that have been breached there. You know, both lockdown and obviously like a crime. You know, assault. So yeah. it is a challenging one, and I don't envy the person who has to deal with that situation. But you know, I think all Ezra Miller can do is just learn from the situation and move on, apologize, which I think he has apologized. But just
I don't think he's made a statement at all.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, and I don't think Warner Brothers has in fact actually like pushed up the release of the Flash movie.
They're just like, yeah, he's in the limelight. Yeah, bring forward the movie to it. It's fine.
Yeah, like it was meant to come out in July of 2022, and they moved it up to June. So clearly they're still confident in him.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out, because I think that character is like fresh enough for you to recast him, but it is interesting. I don't know how they're going to play it out.
It's shocking to me that he's only appeared in one film.
Yeah, and the Flash episode.
Yes, indeed.
That still shocks me how that actually worked. But it doesn't work because it doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, I mean, I suppose, you know, they could say that he was preserved within the Speed Force.
True.
But also, I mean, they could just blame anything. Like, now that the DC is established as being part of the DC TV multiverse, they could just say that any changes were due to the multiversal changes made in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah. Like, one thing I really am interested to hear your thoughts about was Flash season. Is it on season 6?
It's on season 6 right now, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the latest plot about spoilers for season 6 of The Flash? On Barry sort of losing his speed, because I had saw a promo for the next episode and it looks like Godspeed's returning, which is really interesting. Which should be the first time he's back since season 5, if I'm correct.
Well, in the first episode of season 6, there were Godspeed impersonators.
Yes, yeah.
You should really pick season 6 back up. It's been pretty incredible recently.
Really, that's really interesting because, like, Flash had been in a bit of a recent dip, but is it getting better? Like, what are your thoughts on this season?
Well, currently, right now, spoilers again for the season. They have gender bent the character of Mirror Master to be they've changed it from Evan McCulloch to Eva McCulloch.
Okay.
And they've created a really interesting story around her being trapped in the Mirrorverse with Iris, and her sending out goons into the real world to do her bidding, and she's replaced Iris with a mirror version of her.
And did Team Flash know that Iris has been replaced?
They don't know until the most recent episode, and it's one of the best episodes of The Flash, the last episode.
Really? That's great news to hear, actually.
Yeah. So I would say you should pick it up from like where Crisis on Infinite Earths left it, because to be fair, like the first half of the season had Bloodwork in it, and he was a pretty good villain, but a lot of the plot's a bit dragged out. So start from like episode 10 or something,
Okay.
and then work your way up to like episode 17, and it's going to finish with episode 19 because they didn't finish filming.
So what is the whole plot about Barry losing his speed? Is that since Crisis?
Yes, in Crisis on Infinite Earths, he used Oliver Queen, who became the Spectre. He used the Spectre's energy to enter the Speed Force, so that he could. I don't even know why he had to enter the Speed Force. I think it was so that he could like retrieve his friends who were like displaced through time. So he used the Spectre's energy, which infected the Speed Force and then killed the Speed Force.
Wow,
So
that's a really interesting plot.
Yeah, so he's currently also trying to build an artificial Speed Force.
So would you say so far season 6 is right up there as one of your favorite Flash seasons?
Yeah, I would say it's probably the second best after.
Yes, I think that's going to conclude today's episode. Thank you, everyone who's listened and supported us recently. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment your thoughts down below on any of the news stories we've mentioned. And yeah, as Callum said at the sort of start, this has been sort of a re-record of a recently audio corrupted file. So hope you guys like the more informal style, and it's been great recording with you again, buddy. Always love sharing time with you. So
great recording with you.
Thanks, buddy. So yeah, thanks guys, take care, and bye. Cool. So I'm gonna see if that